Within minutes, the shopkeeper collapses and dies. Petey knew this would happen. In a desperate attempt to stop the nightmare, he blasts the monkey with a flamethrower. But the toy doesn't even get a scratch. The terror now falls onto Petey's twin sons, Hal and Bill. It's 1999. Bill is the older twin by just 3 minutes, and he uses that to bully Hal, constantly blaming him for why their father abandoned them. Their mother, Lois, raised them completely alone. She often stares out the window, remembering the day her husband left to buy a pack of cigarettes, and just never came back. Petey used to travel the world, bringing back bizarre items. While Lois thought it was all junk, the boys viewed these strange trinkets as a puzzle to understanding their missing dad. One afternoon, while digging through old boxes, the brothers discover the wind-up monkey. A small note inside says, "Just turn the key and see what happens." Hal gets a terrible feeling and begs his brother to put it away. But Bill, claiming he is the rightful heir to their father's legacy, refuses to listen. He twists the key, but the rusty toy barely turns. Disappointed, he shoves it at Hal, calling it broken garbage. The next morning, Lois sends the boys off to school, leaving them in the care of their neighbor and babysitter, Annie Wilkes. But as Hal opens the car door, he is shocked to find the monkey sitting in the back seat. Later, Annie takes the twins to a local Chinese restaurant. While they eat, the monkey somehow teleports into the driver's seat of Annie's car and begins winding itself up. The moment the cheerful music cuts out, Annie drops dead right in front of the horrified restaurant patrons. At the funeral, the tragedy fails to bring the brothers together. The priest delivers a eulogy about divine purpose, but Hal knows this wasn't God's work. It was the devil inside that toy. Standing by the grave, Lois tries to comfort her sons, explaining that life is just a series of random events, and no one can predict when their time is up. That night, trying to break the dark cloud over the house, Lois forces the boys to dance with her in the living room. Despite the funeral, it becomes the happiest memory of Hal's entire childhood. But high school brings a new nightmare. Bill spreads a vicious rumor that Hal caused their father to run away, turning Hal into a target for severe bullying. Hal suffers in silence, refusing to tell Lois, because he doesn't want to break her heart. The psychological torment worsens when Hal finds the monkey sitting perfectly on his bedroom desk. That night, while Bill is asleep, Hal whispers to the toy, asking if it really killed Annie. Bill wakes up, mocks Hal for talking to a piece of plastic, and tells him he can keep the worthless piece of junk. The next day in class, Hal opens his backpack and freezes. The monkey is inside. The other students notice and erupt into cruel laughter. By recess, the bullies take the joke further, surrounding Hal with crates of bananas to humiliate him. Hal arrives home in a blind, furious rage. For the first time in his life, he screams at his mother, storms into his room, and looks at the grinning monkey. In a moment of pure hatred, Hal loudly wishes his brother would die, and violently cranks the key. Right then, Bill walks through the door. The monkey starts drumming. When the music stops, it isn't Bill who dies. In the kitchen, Lois suddenly drops to the floor, dead. Doctors claim Lois died from a sudden rare brain aneurysm, but Hal finally figures out the terrifying rules of the game. When you wind the key, the drumsticks raise up. The monkey then selects a victim completely at random, and the moment the drumsticks drop, that person dies. Bill refuses to accept reality, sobbing over their mother's coffin, begging her to wake up. Following the burial, their Uncle Chip tells Hal that he and his wife, Ida, never wanted kids, but they will step up to raise the twins. Unable to sleep that night, Hal tries to smash the monkey with a hammer, but it's indestructible. In a panic, he hurls it down the apartment building's garbage chute, believing he's finally free. The Zimmers move the twins out to a secluded house in Maine. While Hal tries to move on, Bill sinks into a deep depression, convinced another tragedy is coming. One night, while watching cartoons, Bill notices a dark shape sitting on the windowsill outside. He opens the window and pulls in the wet, mud-covered toy monkey. Bill confronts Hal, accusing him of bringing it with them. Hal defends himself, terrified, explaining that the toy is cursed with black magic. Bill, skeptical and angry, suggests a scientific test. Hal tries to tackle him, but Bill overpowers him and twists the key. Days later, Uncle Chip dies in a horrific bloody hunting accident in the woods. Realizing they can't destroy it, the brothers take the monkey to an abandoned field and drop it down a pitch-black, bottomless well, praying it stays buried forever. 25 years pass, Aunt Ida has spent over 2 decades grieving her husband. One night, a bizarre scratching sound wakes her up. Armed with a shotgun, she searches the empty house and heads into the dark basement. Suddenly, the old wooden steps snap beneath her, sending her crashing to the floor. As she groans in pain, she smells a strange burning odor coming from the old boiler room. She leans in closer to look, and it's a fatal mistake. After 25 years, the drummer has crawled its way out of the well. Hal is now an adult, working a dead-end job at a grocery store. He lives in complete isolation, having cut off all contact with his family. Today, he begs his manager, Dwayne, to let him leave early. It's his son's birthday. Hal only allows himself to see Petey Jr. once a year, not because of a bitter divorce, but because Hal genuinely believes he is a walking curse to his own bloodline. Meanwhile, his ex-wife's new partner, Ted Hammerman, a man obsessed with spiritual realms and cosmic energy, is deeply critical of Hal's absence. Ted wants to legally adopt the boy. Hal fiercely refuses, but his ex-wife accuses him of just wanting to drop his responsibilities. Ultimately, she gives Hal a final ultimatum. He has exactly 1 week to spend with his son and build good memories, after which he must sign the papers and vanish forever. Across town, a small-time criminal named Ricky breaks into Aunt Ida's old house, which is now up for sale. He rummages through the basement and discovers the vintage monkey, stealing it to take home. When his mother sees it, she shudders, remarking that the toy has the exact same creepy, hollow grin as Ricky's deadbeat father. Hal and Petey Jr. check into a cheap highway motel. The boy knows absolutely nothing about his father's history, unaware he even has an Uncle Bill. Hal shuts down every question, his mind completely plagued by recurring nightmares of the monkey. In the dead of night, Hal's phone rings. It's Bill. The twins haven't spoken a single word in 9 years. Bill reveals that Aunt Ida just died under horrifying circumstances, and he demands Hal go back to her house to check if the monkey has returned. Hal refuses and slams the phone down, but as he looks out the motel window, he watches a woman swimming in the courtyard pool suddenly sink and drown right before his eyes. The curse is active again. Hal screams into his pillow to avoid waking his son, forces the confused boy out of bed, and drives off into the night. During the frantic road trip, Hal falsely claims they are driving to settle a family inheritance. Petey Jr., aware of the pending adoption, just begs his father for some honesty, but Hal remains a vault of secrets. They stop at a second motel, where Hal is visited by a terrifying vision of his late mother. Waking up in a sweat, he sees Petey's bed is empty and panics, thinking the toy took him, but the boy had just gone out to buy a soda.
Sakafulad. They finally arrive at Aunt Ida's house. Hal orders his son to wait in the car, but Petey refuses. They are met by Barbara, a local real estate agent. When Barbara mentions Hal's twin brother, Petey is crushed to realize his father has been lying to him about his family for his entire life. Hal ignores the drama, directly asking Barbara if she found a wind-up toy in the house. She says no, but mentions a sudden spike in freak accidents across the neighborhood. Moments later, through a bizarre, chaotic chain of household mishaps, Barbara is instantly killed. Hal forces himself to stay calm so his son doesn't see the sheer terror in his eyes. The police arrive, locking down the crime scene and ordering Hal not to leave town. While the locals gather around the house like it's a carnival sideshow, the landline inside the house rings. It's Bill again. Hal yells that the toy isn't there and could be anywhere in the city. Bill mysteriously tells him to wait for a signal and hangs up. Realizing Bill might be hiding nearby, Hal tears through the local phone book. He doesn't find Bill Shelbourne, but he finds a bizarre listing under the name Mrs. Monkey. Hal dials the number, and a rough man's voice answers, "The search for your precious toy is over." The horrifying truth is revealed. 25 years ago, the moment Bill realized Hal's wish had caused their mother's death, he rushed back to the well to retrieve the monkey. It was gone, but it left a spiritual mark on Bill, promising it would return. Bill spent decades waiting in absolute madness. When the toy finally resurfaced, Bill felt its presence immediately. He bought a custom funeral suit, identical to the one from his childhood, preparing for the day his vengeance would be complete. Ricky had found the toy and sold it to Bill for a mere $15. Now Bill lives in a heavily booby-trapped fortress, worshipping the monkey's dark power. He had wound the key dozens of times, praying Hal would be the next victim, but the curse kept taking innocent strangers instead. The body count rises. Back at the grocery store, Hal's manager Dwayne is brutally killed while locking up late. Meanwhile, Ricky realizes he let a priceless artifact go too cheap. He rings the intercom at Bill's fortress, demanding the monkey back, but Bill threatens to shoot him. Looking at the toy, an evil idea hits Bill. If he can force Hal's son, Petey Jr., to turn the key, maybe the curse will finally target Hal. Outside, a furious Ricky steals military-grade ammunition from his brother's footlocker, planning a violent raid. Back at the motel, Petey Jr. confronts Hal, demanding to know what he's hiding. Hal snaps, telling the boy he will be much better off letting Ted adopt him. The words deeply scar the boy. Suddenly, Hal's phone rings. It's Bill offering a sick bargain. He promises Petey Jr. will stay safe under one condition. Hal must be the one to constantly wind the key, because the black magic never kills the person who physically starts the gears. Hal refuses to play God. He grabs his son, deciding to drive him straight back to his mother to keep him out of the crosshairs. In the car, Petey screams that Hal just wants to discard him like garbage. Hal breaks down, admitting he never wanted children, not because he didn't love Petey, but because he was terrified of passing down the horrific generational curse of the Shelbourne family. Their emotional breakthrough is cut short by a heavy knock on the motel door. Hal looks through the peephole and sees a police uniform. He opens it, but it's a trap. It's Ricky, wearing a stolen uniform and wielding a loaded pistol. He takes the